and then simply obviously close that. It's very simple. Nice thing about the front of the vehicle, all your headlamps are LED halogen headlamps. Nice thing about that is they use very little energy, so you don't have to worry about when you're putting on all your accessories wearing down your batteries. When we go around to the back of the vehicle, obviously everything right there shows 0 emissions on this vehicle, which is obviously the benefit. You do have a simple button right back here to go ahead and release your hatch. Plenty of room back here for all of your shopping. If you're going to go to the store, if you're going to go to the market, you want to put a set of golf clubs in here. You also have the benefit of being able to put down the rear seats. So coming over here to the rear, simply lift the handle and if you there you go, put your rear seat down. You don't have a flat fold because of the vehicle, and that's really because you've got all your batteries underneath the vehicle. So you do have a little bit of a rise, but you still have the benefit of being able to put your items back in here. Obviously, right under here, you don't have that storage as you would in a conventional vehicle, and that's going to be because, again, of the batteries. But they do give you this pack right here, which is going to have your charging cable. Nice thing about having this charging cable is that you could plug into a standard outlet. Obviously, the charging time is going to take a bit longer versus if you have access to a fast charge, or if you're out on the road and you've got a charging station at a gas station or a mall. Go ahead, I'll put this back up here. Got to put that front seat forward just a little bit.
I'll just point out briefly that a number of electric vehicle owners I know, people who own the LEAF as well as other cars, they actually use that cord that they're given, to charge at home.
Mm-hmm.
They could just plug that into any like regular, as long as it has the 3 prongs on it. Ideally, if it's the kind of circuit that's on its own circuit, because the car will draw a lot of current. But it's very convenient, the fact that the car comes with that cord and you can use that to charge at home with.
Oh,
I did it for 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, completely agree. And and the thought process behind that is if you use your car as a commuter car during the day, you typically go home. If you're 9 to 5, you get home 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. Plug it in. If you're not leaving till 8 o'clock in the morning the next day, you're going to definitely get yourself plenty of a charge by doing that. There's a lot of options also. If you go online, I know Amazon has is a retailer for a product called the Juice, which I had, which is phenomenal. You get a electrician to come in and put a 50 amp dedicated line for your vehicle. It's not very expensive to do. You buy the kit for about $500, and then you've got a fast charge. So there's a lot of options to be able to charge from home and do it very, very quickly and efficiently. I'm going to go ahead and start the car and turn on the air conditioning because it's a little warm in here in the black interior today. Beautiful day in Virginia, by the way. So nice thing about, again, you've got a push button start. And hear that? All you hear is the fan going because, of course, there's no motor. You've got a full display right here. So if you look, right now it's showing I've got 91% charge, 132 miles to empty. You also have what's called an eco button. When I go ahead and use the eco button, it does give me a little bit more. What that's going to do is when you accelerate, it may not give you as much acceleration, rapid acceleration that you would expect because it's going to economize everything. It's also going to reduce the air conditioning usage or the heater. It's going to reduce some electric components that you might be using on the vehicle, but that eco is available as well. We also have a really neat option called the e-pedal. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with that. Are you familiar with that, Charles, the e-pedal?
No, I haven't heard of that.
So the e-pedal is really cool. If you're used to a golf cart typically when you accelerate on a golf cart and then you decelerate, you take your foot off the accelerator, automatically starts braking the vehicle. And that way you have less wear on the brakes and you're not actually physically hitting the brake pedal. On this vehicle, if you use the e-pedal, you typically do not ever have to use the brake pedal whatsoever. The minute you take your foot off the accelerator, it automatically goes into a braking mode. And what's nice is you've got, of course, all your safety features, your forward collision warning, forward braking, rear braking. So the vehicle's going to actually stop for you should you fail to actually hit those brakes in time. But you never have to touch the brakes if you use the e-pedal option or the e-brake option, which is really a neat feature on these vehicles. Getting into the steering column, you've got all your controls here. Of course, you've got for your information right here. You can go through, see your power charge. You can control your audio system, compass, your average kilowatt per hour usage, or your energy, your in most cars would be your fuel consumption, but this would be energy consumption, electronic odometer, and then of course you've got all your different settings here for your vehicle settings, EV settings, your tire pressure monitor center. You also have right over here your audio controls for your volume. You also can control your audio or your radio stations here. You can also obviously return and get out of these displays, which is very, very convenient. A lot of fun, a lot of interaction that the consumer can have. My favorite thing is right here is called Pro Pilot Assist. What the Pro Pilot Assist is, and I always like to compare it to a Tesla. And the reason I say that is because we know that Tesla has either the fully automated option of driving the car, or you've got more of an intelligent cruise control. And that's what this is. Pro Pilot Assist basically works the same way. Once you set your speed control at your desired speed, let's just say you're driving down the highway, you set it 70 miles an hour. As you approach vehicles in front of you, the vehicle will automatically start to brake and keep a preset distance. You can set it at 1 car, 2 cars, 3 car distance, and it will keep that preset. In addition, if you keep a loose grip on the steering wheel, the vehicle will actually steer for itself without any input from the driver. So it's as close to an autonomous vehicle as you can get, except you still have to steer it to get home. But the whole idea is when you're on the highway, to help reduce fatigue from you, the vehicle will steer on its own, but it does have pressure sensors in the wheel, so you do have to keep your hands on the steering wheel at all times, and obviously for safety reasons. But for instance, you have these settings right here which allow you to set that distance, and with the Pro Pilot Assist. So for instance, there's a Pro Pilot Assist. I've gone ahead and turned it on, and then what you can do is you can set your distance between the vehicle in front of you. Again, 1 car, 2 cars, and 3 cars. And then, of course, you can turn the Pro Pilot Assist off. And what it does is it uses your forward sensing, your blind spot, and what it will do too is it'll tell you if you're approaching another vehicle on your side, if you're going to try to change lanes. It actually will fight you if you're trying to change lanes without using your signal, and if there's a vehicle in your blind spot that it detects. And that's all right there in the mirrors where you have your blind spot assist right there. You have, in this vehicle, you have what's called high beam assist. Another great feature, especially around here where we got a lot of roads that don't have proper illumination. So you can drive with you set your brights on, and it'll drive with your brights on. When it senses a vehicle approaching you with its lights on, headlights on, it will then turn your brights off and then turn it back on once you're without blinding the opposing vehicles. So another great safety feature. We do have, again, forward braking. We also have rear braking. Why is rear braking important? Well, we have these wonderful, if you go right over here, we have this wonderful hockey puck controller, very space age, but you go into reverse right there. And now you've got what they call your heads up display right there, or your downward facing. So it looks like there's a satellite on your roof and it shows you everything that's around your vehicle. But let me pull forward from this vehicle here real quick so I can show you. Excuse me. So I'm going to move forward just a little bit. Now I'm going to go and put it back in reverse. And now you hear nothing, but as you see, as I'm backing and I get to the other vehicle, it starts telling me that I'm approaching. Now that tells me that I'm at the closest distance possible to that vehicle. Now the interesting thing about that is if I was going a little bit faster, it would automatically apply the brakes for me. I didn't want to go ahead and test that product because I know it works, but you never know. You just don't want to test that thing. You still want to be cognizant of what's going on. And then, of course, to put the car in park, you just simply hit that button right there. The nice thing is we've also got a very interactive center stack. For those of you that use iPhones, you have the ability to use what's called Apple CarPlay. Simply plug your phone into one of the USB charging ports, plugs your phone in, then basically emulates everything on the screen as it would your iPhone. So if you like using your iPhone, your Apple Maps, or if you are an Android user and you use Google Maps, everything gets emulated right there on the screen for you. If you have your Apple Music or your Android Music or Pandora or any of your services that are on your phone, you can go ahead and look from there. And as a matter of fact, I just got a comment that it also works with Waze too. So really what it does, it emulates anything that's on your phone right onto the screen. Everything's a touch screen, which is nice. So as far as connections, you can add a Bluetooth phone, which is very, very easy. You've got your audio, you've got Sirius satellite radio, which is great. And Nissan does give that to you at no charge for 6 months. So and then you can always go ahead and continue that. But you also get right over here. Let me get back to my menu. Some other items that you get is you get fuel prices, which we obviously don't need fuel prices in a Leaf, but it's nice to see what your friends are paying for their fuel, right? But right over here, you can get sports, you can get traffic, which is great. So it shows you where accidents might be. So if you've got a intersection that you're looking to go, it'll show you if there's any traffic delays. So very, very, again, interactive. Of course, you've got your phone set up. If you're using your Apple CarPlay or your Android system, you can either use Siri hands-free. So as you talk to your phone, you would then go ahead and talk to your phone and go ahead and dial numbers for you and whatever else information you need. You do have a camera button, so if you're driving and you want to see what's in front of you, you do have that ability as well. That will turn on your front-facing camera, which that camera is there for the distance and everything else that you have. And it also shows you anything that might be any obstructions on the side of your vehicle. And go ahead and turn that off. Whoop, go back to your menu. And there you go. And put that back over there. You also have complete EV use. So your energy used, your climate control, how much your climate control is using, your how much your climate control is using energy right now. And for instance, if I turn Eco off, shows your driving range right there. Eco back on, shows your driving range right there. If you want to increase 42 miles, see what it says? It says turn off climate control. Now I just gained 42 miles. So pretty interesting right there. And then if I want to lose the mileage, turn that back on. You also have, what's great about this car is you have heated seats, both the driver and passenger. Very unusual in cloth interior seat vehicles to have heated seats. But in most Nissan products, it's becoming more of the norm. You do have a 12-volt power point. For those of us that might be a little bit older, that one time was used for a cigarette lighter or a cigar lighter, but we don't have those anymore. So that's now a 12-volt power point. You do have your climate control settings right there. You do have your defroster. Another thing too, your heater and your defroster do tend to also take down a little bit of the mileage. But again, it comes down to really understanding your vehicle and playing with your vehicle and seeing what those differences are. Go ahead and turn that off. Now I'll go back to the other vehicle that we have. Both of these vehicles that I'm sharing with you today also have what's called the SV all-weather package. That comes with the front heated seats, heated steering wheel, heated outside mirrors, rear heater ducts, and what they call the hybrid heater.
And I'll point out that, and I always like to point this out to folks, that that is a feature actually that the Tesla does not have. They do not have heated seats or a heated steering wheel.
Correct.
So, it's one of the few things LEAF owners have an advantage over. So I always like to point that one out.
Okay, so now this is this vehicle. I've got them into the Plus, and so you can see the Plus right now. That's at 89% at 192. If I go ahead and put it into Eco mode, now I'm back up to 203, and it's got right now. There we go. Turned off all the accessories as far as the blower and the heater. Now we're up to 265 at 89%. So very conceivable to be right around the 265 to 275 range in this car. So now you are right there with some more expensive brands out there, as well as the Tesla Model 3. They're right around, I believe they're 320 mile range roughly. But I think that you're getting a vehicle that's backed by a manufacturer that's been doing this, as Charles mentioned, for over 10 years now. So you've got a company that that's committed to battery electric vehicles, understands battery electric vehicles, and has a network of dealers throughout the entire country that can help service your vehicle as well. And unless I'm really missing anything, I think we're open for some maybe Q&A, Charles.
Sure. So one quick thing, and someone corrected me in the chat, and I always get this wrong actually. So Teslas do have heated seats, but not a heated steering wheel. And
Okay.
actually, the heated steering wheel is actually something that I didn't think I would need, but it comes in handy, particularly in the wintertime, when you maybe want to turn the heat down a little bit to try to preserve range, and then that way, but you can still keep your hands warm. So I kind of like that feature. So I just wanted to point that out. There was one, so I'm just looking in the chat here, 1% question. So does the new LEAF have LiDAR?
You know what? I can find that out. I do not believe it's using LiDAR. I believe it's using cameras and sonar. I do not believe it's LiDAR, but I can find that out if you remind me, and I can get an answer for you.
Okay, cool. I thought it was an interesting question because I don't know the answer to that either.
This
The other question is oh, Glenn, yeah,
Oh, yeah. Is it okay if I just ask this way?
please go ahead.
Sure. Hey, Phil, I had a LEAF at least for 3 years and loved it. It's a really good car and really enjoyed it. At the time I was ready to get another car, I got something else with better distance at the time. And I drive a Chevy Bolt, but the LEAF is a really good car. Question I had for you, the other thing too is I couldn't tell by the way you were using the camera. It's a trunk though. It's not a hatchback, right? Because and are there other models coming out besides the LEAF? Because I know you sell an NV200 electric van in Europe and also in Japan. So I'm just curious to know what other models Nissan might be putting out in the near future.
Dave, do you want tea or
Well,
coffee or hot chocolate?
That's a very good question. No,
Yeah, hot chocolate if we got.
I want some hot chocolate. Oh, the LEAF is a hatchback model, so it's not a trunk. It's as a matter of fact, I can show you a little bit better picture on the one in front of me. So hopefully you can see that right there, but it is an actual hatchback model. But obviously you have a deep deck, so it's more of a trunk. So items don't go flying around. You don't have a flat surface with the rear seats folded. As far as NV200 electric, that's a very, very good question. As you are all probably aware that, yes, there is an NV200 electric in Japan, as well as Ford has the Transit Connect electric in Europe as well. So they're really testing those models The NV200 is really a commercial designed vehicle, not necessarily a passenger designed vehicle. So they really haven't come to that commercial market just yet, because it all really comes down to range and serviceability. In my opinion, I think that they need to have an electric van really at a minimum of a 200-mile radius or 200-mile distance. So if you think about users of those vans, maybe like Amazon last mile delivery, or you have the FedEx home, UPS home delivery. I think those are really what those are going to be designed for, in the Uber and the Grubhubs of the world. So I do see them coming to the United States. In short, time frame wise, I still think we're probably a couple years away from it.
Thank you. I guess I just want to say, though, I did drive a Leaf for 3 years, and it's a really good car. If anybody's thinking about getting an electric car, it's certainly worth your consideration. It's a good car.
Well, I appreciate that. Also, I wanted to mention a couple things. There are some incentives out there for people that are looking to buy the Leaf. Right now, Nissan has a lease program where they're essentially giving you $9,500 in rebates. And the reason they do that, so people understand, when you lease or when you acquire an electric vehicle, there are typically tax incentives. What a lot of consumers don't realize about the tax incentives, and I'm not an accountant, so please, by all means, confer with your accountant on this. This is not advice. This is just my understanding coming from the dealership side, is that the reason that Nissan gives you these incentives up front, which is typically $7,500 tax incentive plus $2,000 in additional incentive for about a total of $9,500, is because Nissan is the owner of the vehicle when you lease it through them. You're not the owner, you're the person leasing the vehicle. They physically own the vehicle until you are done with it at the end of 3 years. So what happens is they're going to take those credits, give them to you up front, and then they're going to claim them from the federal government against tax liability. That's the only way people can typically use a tax credit, is to offset liability. So, in short, if you don't owe money to the government, the tax credits don't do you much good. If you owe money to the government in the form of liabilities, then those tax credits can typically be used to offset them. With that being said, if you are in a situation, maybe a 1099 employee, you own your own business, you do need those tax credits, then the other option is, if you are a Virginia resident and you are purchasing electricity, and I assume that assumes everybody that's in Virginia is buying electricity from somebody here in Virginia, there is a $2,500 rebate that is available to you on the Leaf, and then $3,500 on the Plus. So there are some options available for people that don't necessarily want to lease, but they like to purchase the vehicle or pay cash for the vehicle. There are some incentives as well.
That was a good point about the tax incentives, because from a policy standpoint, oftentimes it's noted that the tax credit is good, but a tax rebate is better, because
Yes.
then you can realize that benefit up front, and then it also is beneficial to people who don't have tax liability, as you pointed out. So that even if you have an earned income tax credit, or a low income person, you can still get the rebate. Versus if you're in that position and you don't paying taxes, you're not going to get that benefit. So,
although, I should point out, since you and I, Charles, were down there lobbying for this piece of legislation that is now in a study, it will be nice if Virginia does pass HB 717 in its new form after the study, to give a rebate to anyone who buys an electric car, new or used, which I think was very impressive.
Yes. And that they're talking about, I remember, I've been in this industry for about 30 years, and I've seen a lot of programs come and go from the federal government. And I remember, if anybody remembers Cash for Clunkers, what was that, back in 2009, I believe, to help stimulate the auto industry a little bit and get people to get very high emission vehicles off the road. to get vehicles that were lower emissions, PZEVs, and what have you. I'd love to see a program again like that come out, because I'm a true advocate of electric vehicles, especially if you have a commute. They're fun to drive. I mean, at the end of the day, we all drive electric vehicles, yes, because I hate going to gas stations, so that's a big time saver for me. But the other part, they're just fun to drive. If you've never experienced an electric vehicle, I invite you, come and take a test drive. Obviously, no obligation, no questions asked. Come drive one.